I'm so excited I get to talk about this game. What is going on, dudes and dudettes? Major Pun up here, and I just gotta tell you, I love Immortals Fenyx Rising. I'm not really into RPGs. Skyrim couldn't hook me, and neither could The Witcher 3, unfortunately, when I first played them. But after my playthrough of Immortals Fenyx Rising, I'm definitely going to try to get back into these titles. I'll get Skyrim on my Switch because it looks and runs about the same to me as it does on the PS4, the Xbox One. And The Witcher, I'll probably get that on the PS4, but it'll probably have a PS5 upgrade soon, so I can wait on that. I was already interested in Immortals Fenyx Rising when it was announced as Gods and Monsters, but the more information and the more gameplay that came out, the more excited I got at the thought of playing this game. And the fact that you're able to save your game across different platforms, I was immediately sold. Of course, I got it on my Switch, but I'm definitely planning on getting it on the PlayStation 5 whenever it's finally available for purchase. Just real quick, I am shocked about the demand for the PS5 console. If you want one, please do not get it from a scalper. Just wait, do not let these bastards win. That's it, I'm done, moving on. Ever since the announcement of Gods and Monsters, it got the title of a Zelda clone or a Zelda ripoff. And yeah, if you only look at it at face value, it is. Immortals is so much more than that, especially when you dive into the world it offers. It feels more like a product of what gaming is today, as if everything we've played in the past 10 years was leading up to this adventure. What sets Immortals apart is the Greek mythology inspired world. UbiSoft was not even close to being done with expanding on Greek mythology when they finished Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and we get to reap the spoils in Immortals Fenyx Rising.
Oh, aren't you good? Please, take my blessing for all your hard work.
Immortals Fenyx Rising puts you in the boots of Fenyx, a weak demigod whose brother and close friends are all turned to stone after an attack from Typhon, who has stolen the essences of Greek mythological gods such as Aphrodite, the goddess of love, Ares, the god of war. Step aside, Kratos. Attaboy. Hephaestus, the god of the forge. He is so funny, he is easily my favorite. And Athena, the goddess of wisdom. As Fenyx, you must save the gods, grab their essences, and take on Typhon. Along the way, you'll come across such characters as Hermes, who's honestly hilarious. There was one segment that he started that I couldn't help but laugh at.
Then you'll say, Hermes, please, don't make me blackmail you. I'll tell Hera what you did. Then I'll say, you wouldn't.
And that's one thing that makes this title truly stand out, the humor. Most RPGs are very serious and don't have much levity outside the occasional glitch or meme that blows up on the internet.
Then I took an arrow in the knee. Then I took an arrow in the knee.
Then I took an arrow in the knee.
But Immortals Fenyx Rising is full of humor and charm around every corner and gives each individual character, big or small, their own unique identity. As you're going about the game, you'll hear Prometheus and Zeus narrating your adventure, and the camaraderie between the two gods is so enjoyable to listen to. It makes the adventure feel so much more epic, as if you're being read Homer's Odyssey or Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. Fenyx as a character, though, is just fine. There isn't honestly anything that special about him. He's just the vessel to take you from A to B, which would normally be fine, but he's the main character, and there aren't any moments that matter on choice in Immortals, similar to how other RPGs present themselves. You could customize how he looks, but barely enough to mention. But where Immortals Fenyx Rising truly shines is in the combat. If you've played any of the recent Assassin's Creed entries, you'll feel right at home here. People say that Immortals is a Breath of the Wild clone when it feels more like a spiritual successor to Ubisoft's most successful franchise. That takes inspiration from the newest Zelda game. Since this is an open world Ubisoft game, expect viewpoints so that way you could see the landscape. But those viewpoints are actually the statues of the four gods. And once you unlock a viewpoint, you don't just see everything that's on the map. You actually have to use your far-sighted vision in order to see things like chests, puzzles, challenges, or vaults. While there is of course an emphasis on adventure and exploration, where Immortals truly shines is in the combat. Your right bumper is the light attack, and your right trigger is the heavy attack. The heavy attack is by far the most effective way of killing enemies in the game. It stuns enemies a lot quicker and makes handling a wave of monsters way easier. The combat in Immortals feels intense and tight, and depending on how skilled you are, you could take on an entire wave of monsters without taking any damage, and it feels so great to do that. What truly helps the most are the blessings that you get from Ares, Athena, Hephaestus, and Aphrodite, which are essentially power-ups given to you by the gods after you complete a task. The most useful by far is Aphrodite's Kiss. Once your health is depleted to 0%, you're immediately revived. It does take 20 minutes to recharge, but that's all you'll really need. Ares and Hephaestus help deal more damage, and Athena's guidance helps recharge arrows at twice the normal speed. The more I talk about it, the more I'm reminded of the champion's abilities from Breath of the Wild. It's not a Zelda clone, I swear. Along with the god's blessings, you also collect Zeus's lightning to get more stamina, Ambrosia shards to increase your health, and coins of Charon that are used for upgrades for attacking and climbing. I'm not gonna lie, when I first started playing Immortals Fenyx Rising, I thought it was just okay, but the more and more I started playing it, the more I found myself enjoying it and anticipating playing it. Around every corner of the island. The more that I thought about it, the more I realized they didn't give us a name for the island. I couldn't even find it online. So let's go with Mount Olympus. Around every corner in Mount Olympus is something to see and discover. You can discover vaults which take you to a pocket dimension with a treasure at the end, puzzles that lead to a treasure, challenges that lead to a treasure, or enemies guarding a treasure. It's all just treasure, essentially. But the way to get the treasure is insanely fun, and each one is different from the last. And the puzzles and challenges are actually difficult, and when you solve it, it's very rewarding. All of these gameplay features make me want to explore every nook and cranny that Mount Olympus has to offer, and when doing that, it offers a ton of platforming obstacles. Usually in the treasure that you find, you'll get new swords, axes, armor, or wings, and what's really cool is if you like the stats of one piece, but prefer the looks of another, you can do that. I use this customization feature a lot, as even though the Hephaestus armor set isn't the best, it definitely looks the coolest. But it is weird how even though you can choose which armor set to rock, there isn't much in terms of customization at all really. Even though you can pick and choose how Fenyx looks like in other RPGs, I've seen more customization options in Tony Hawk games. This is so strangely bare bones. I didn't like how he looked when I accidentally turned him into Josh Hutcherson. Nothing wrong with you, Josh. I'm a fan. I even remember watching Zathura in the theaters as a little kid, and I know you're a fan too, so I don't want you to think I'm dissing. So I changed him to something similar to what I looked like during lockdown. But while Immortals might not have the best customization, everything in this game looks and sounds beautiful.
Gods, I have so much I want to ask you. Did you really beat up Ares in the Trojan War?
What? Oh, sure.
The art direction here is incredible. Even on the Switch, this game looks great, which has me even more excited for whenever I eventually pick it up on the PlayStation 5. This game is beautiful, but the Switch version does suffer from haze, and while it is noticeable, I thought it was honestly just cloudy at first. Plus, there's always going to be something in front of you like an enemy or a puzzle, so it is forgivable, and you'll hardly ever see just a flat plane. The terrain is broken from Typhon's destruction, and there are tons of mountains, valleys, and ranges to make Mount Olympus also very fun to platform around. Even though the haze is not too noticeable, I can't say the same about the hatching and the pop-ins. It looks like the details in the environment only appear when Fenyx is standing right near it. I get why the Switch version looks like this, but I feel like if Ubisoft and Nintendo worked a bit closer together, it wouldn't have had this problem. Nintendo and Ubisoft have a great working relationship together, so it just feels like a bit of a missed opportunity. But all is forgiven because this soundtrack is gorgeous. I can confidently say that this is some of the best video game music I have ever heard. It sounds truly magical and otherworldly, but historic, grand, and epic all at once. The score by Gareth Coker is Oscar worthy, and I could easily see this being something in like 300 or Exodus Gods and Kings. Gods and Monsters? Gods and Kings. Gods and Kings takes place in ancient Egypt. Ubisoft did a game about ancient Egypt. This is going nowhere. But my god, I cannot get over this soundtrack. My favorite is honestly the loading screen theme. For me, it's also the easiest to remember because I die a lot. Aside from the great score, the sound design is also really good. I never noticed any sounds that should be there but aren't, or sounds that shouldn't be there but are. If that makes any sense at all. If you've played a lot of Ubisoft open world games, you understand what I'm talking about. Voice acting here is also pretty solid, but the facial tracking and movements are so weird. Like, I don't think I've ever seen anyone who moves their face like this. I'm probably the only person that's ever going to make this comparison, and it hurts because obviously I love this game, but the facial animations remind me a lot of Ride to Hell Retribution. Both of these games also have kind of a similar art style to me. Why do I feel like I'm going to get in trouble for saying that? But I don't think I'm wrong here. Look at the mouths, they just move up and down. It doesn't even look finished. And this is an issue across all platforms. It isn't just a Switch problem. Thankfully though, the charm and the quirks that each character has makes up for the weird animations.
Speechless? I know. Can you believe you actually had to convince me to return to this body?
I love Immortals Fenyx Rising. It should be easy to tell, I just said it a couple minutes ago, but I cannot help but gush about this game. It feels like the game that I've been waiting to play my entire life. Everyone's saying that it's a Zelda clone, but I'm gonna say something that no one else is gonna say about it. Immortals is like Travis Scott, and Zelda is like Kanye. Early Kanye, hear me out! When Zelda first came out on the NES, it was applauded for how innovative it was, unlike anything we've ever seen. When Kanye was first getting popular, he put out music unlike anything we had ever heard, and to a point he still is. But whether you think it's good or bad is up to you. For me, it's very hit or miss. Now we take Travis Scott, easily one of my favorite artists of all time. I have a tattoo dedicated to his music and what it means to me. If you want to see that, I'll go over all of my tattoos one day in a video, but now is not the time. But when Travis was first coming up, he was compared to Kanye in many ways. While the inspiration was visible, it's not a copy. It's using the inspiration to make their own identity. God, I bet I'm the only person to ever make that comparison, but I wear that as a badge of honor. Immortals Fenyx Rising is not only my favorite Switch game of 2020, it's one of my favorite games of 2020. Even though I'm not really a completionist, I could definitely see myself completing this game 100%. And if you think this game won't have enough adventure for you, the Gold Edition offers 3 story DLCs that dive into different mythology, some new armor and weapon upgrades, and an additional quest. All of this has me beyond excited for Ubisoft's open world Star Wars game coming up soon. Overall, I think this is an amazing game, and if you're even remotely interested in it, pick it up. You will have an amazing time. Trust me. Anyway, dudes and dudettes, I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to click that like and subscribe button, and let me know down in the comment section below, what is your favorite RPG of all time? This might be my favorite RPG of all time. It's definitely one of my favorite Switch games, and I cannot wait to play more. I cannot wait to play all those DLC packs whenever they release. Anyway, dudes and dudettes, new videos on Tuesdays. Major Pineapple out.